I'm super excited. Estefania and I just got back from talking about film and life and just how, life can throw us some uncertainty and how do we navigate those things? How do we innovate through them as we go through our time in this world. And so, with that, we are going to continue the conversation. Estefania Bonilla Hernandez, she is a podcast and film producer. She has a list of accolades. You can go back and watch the portion we did on BBTV where I take you through a ton of her credentials. She's an amazing human, and we're going to have some fun getting to know her a little bit better. So, Estefania, I'm going to ask you about some fun facts that I know about you. And one of them is that apparently you went to the Conservatory of Music when you were a kid. And I want to know about this violin playing that you did until you were 12. Tell me how you got into music, because obviously that means music was actually your first love, apparently, before film. So, talk to me about that.
Well, that's an interesting story because, I mean, you know that every single family sometimes have this tradition that has to pass along to their next generation.
Of
And
course.
in the case of my family, it's music. So I come
Oh.
from my mom's side from a very extended legacy of musicians, classical
Oh.
musicians that have been even with Sostakovich having them directing them in the National Symphony of Colombia, or they've been singers, they've been incredible and talented musicians. So that part of that passage of ritual of passage of
Rite of passage,
being part,
yes.
yeah, of being
Yes.
part of that family. It's precisely going through the conservatory and going through a musical learning. So yeah, that's the reason why I went into the music conservatory in Colombia with all of my siblings and with all of my cousins. We all went through that process. So in the family, there's violinists, there are cellists, there are pianists, there are
Wow.
singers, I mean, there's a lot of people, and we could even make our own orchestra at some point in life.
That's awesome.
But it's been very interesting to see that in all of our families there's at least one of them who came out as a musician, and they are musicians
Wow.
professionally speaking. In my case, one of my sisters was the one who stuck with the musician. She's a really talented percussionist. Right now she's living in Toronto and she is being a music engineer for an advertisement house. And
Wow.
but she has all this classical music
She's classically
background,
trained. Yeah. You
and
guys you
it's
guys sound like
training
an
that.
orchestra all by yourselves. That is
Exactly.
amazing. Wow, that's super
So,
cool.
and that's the reason why, I mean, I owe music, the reason why I do filmmaking, and the reason why I have all this creative strain of mine, you know?
Yeah.
So yes, my first love, it would be like that. It was tough love because
Mm,
honestly, to be a musician, you need a lot of discipline, you
mm,
need talent, and you need a lot of love for the instrument and a lot of love for being very, yeah, disciplined, eight
yeah.
hours all single day, not
Whew.
practicing the instrument. It's a lot of commitment that, well, in my case I didn't have it, but there's a lot of my family who does. so, so
That's
so yeah.
awesome. Are the holidays wild at your house? Is everyone like, is there a
Yeah,
traditional song? I would think like it's
exactly. Yeah.
amazing.
Well, at some point we did a chorus. We did a chorus
Wow.
with the entire family. And yeah, those are very, very pretty memories in my family when I was little, because yeah, and everybody was part of the chorus. No, my parents, my grandparents, and as we were a very professional chorus doing all the harmonies, and you are the sopranos and you are the ones who do the low part of the vocals, and you are the ones who are contraltos and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So no, it was really fun. It's something that really brought us close as family.
Yeah.
to the extended family from that part.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
I would
that's the experience.
I think live band karaoke with your family is probably epic, and if you
Yeah.
haven't done it, then I highly recommend.
Yeah, it is.
That's amazing. That's amazing. All right. So I know you're in a relationship. So talk
Mhm.
to me about what is the best relationship advice you've ever received.
Um, the best. I think that is accept the other part of your relationship as it is. Don't
Mm,
try to change it. Just accept it as it is.
mm,
No, and just look at that person, at somebody who is complimenting you and is taking the best of you. No,
mm,
and who is going to deal. I mean, if you are accepting, that other part maybe is going to be accepting of those not that pretty parts of you,
yeah.
and it's going to make them love and make yourself love those parts also, because we are so full of highs and lows and light and dark,
Yeah.
but you have to love yourself in every single part of them. And if you accept your partner as somebody
Yeah.
in those light and in those darks and those highs and those lows, and you just treat them with love and empathy and acceptance, that's going to be the most peaceful and the most incredible part of the relationship, and that's going to be an
Yeah.
incredible relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
yeah,
think
for me
that
that is.
I love that because the joke here is that men marry women thinking she's never going to change, and then women marry men hoping that they will change. And I was
Hmm.
like, "Oh, yikes, yeah!" And so, how can we show up and love on each other? And it made me really process that because I thought, why do friendships why can those last a lifetime and last so long, but it seems like so many marriages just don't, or
Hmm.
partnerships when it comes to a couple. And I said, I think it is because with our friends we have a different expectation. We go with the ebbs and flows, and we just learn to love them for who they are, with all the good and the bad. Each
Hmm.
rose has its thorn, and we accept that. But for some reason we seem to be so much less forgiving when it comes to our partners, and we have a whole nother level of expectation that sometimes is just not realistic. And
Yeah, well, I
I
blame
was
that to the patriarchy. And I blame
yeah.
that to, yeah, I
Anytime
blame
something
that
goes
to,
wrong, I blame the patriarchy. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah,
So
you're good
yeah,
there.
I mean, I blame that also to all this romanticism that has been like
Mm,
very, it's been part of our bringing up,
hmm.
no?
Yeah.
That romanticism that it's so like idealistic and it's not
Mm,
real. I mean,
mm,
people are people, people have flaws, people can
yeah.
make mistakes,
Right. Right.
and it's just to accept them as it is,
Mm-hmm.
and being very forgiving with
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
mistakes, because I mean, we all have been through dark times, and
Yeah.
it's okay,
Yeah.
and a lot of empathy, a lot of love. For
Yeah.
me it's that. Hmm.
Yeah, it was so funny because when I was much younger, I was always looking for something a little spicy. And as I get older, I find that I really, really cherish vanilla a lot more because it's consistent. You can add to it, uh, and you know what you're getting. And sometimes
Mhm.
it's nice to know what you're getting.
Yes, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I absolutely understand, and I'm absolutely de acuerdo. Yeah, yeah, I agree a lot of with what
Mm,
you're saying, because sometimes I've said it's very nice to have a boring relationship. Sometimes I say that because, yeah, I mean,
yes.
it's somebody where you can feel comfortable and you feel at peace, you feel at ease. No,
Yeah.
obviously you're going to want to have some parts of that rush and that
Right.
spiciness and everything, but
Right.
but I mean, there's a lot to deal in life. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot to deal with the external things that you can't control.
Right.
So why do you make your own life more miserable or more difficult that
Right.
already is?
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to be a companionship, and
Yes.
let's try to just take our hands and let's transit through this journey together, and let's see where it's going to
Yeah.
find us or where it's going to lead us.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's incredible.
I do too. I think, I look at my career and I realize how much I've been this really strong support structure for so many of these CEOs that I work with and these companies that I work with. And I was recognizing like that is part of the ebb and flow of even how I operate. Like I'm naturally nurturing and supportive and like cheering people on and being positive, and I'm like that's what I want in my life too. Right? I want someone that I can cheer on that's going to cheer me on. That's my partner,
Hmm.
and that we're supportive with each other, and that they're, he can take the lead. And then maybe other times I get to take the lead. And there's just a beautiful ebb and flow to it, and it doesn't have to be complicated, and we can speak to each other kindly. We can actually express our needs and our wants and desires, and we can work through it all. And it's just that person that you want to be in your, in your community, but also that person that
Hmm.
you might want to go to bed with every night. So it's all those little beautiful things that I think
Hmm.
are that make a relationship special and can make it lasting. So let's pivot over to my next question, which is mental health. Is obviously mental health and wellness is a big topic. We have a whole generation that's pretty anxious right now.
Hmm.
What is your best advice for, being able to work through some of the struggles and keeping your mind right and keeping your emotions in a place where you can feel them and also process them?
Okay. For me, first of all, breathe. Learn to
Mm,
breathe. I mean, for me, it has been very a lifesaver when I've been in situations where maybe you don't have the time to meditate 1 hour, or you don't have like the space to go and do yoga. I don't
yeah.
know. There's a lot of things that
Mm,
maybe you don't have the space, maybe you don't have the money, maybe you don't
mm,
have the time.
mm.
So one of the things that I've learned and I've it's been really helpful for me, it's to learn to breathe. Even when you're in the most stressful part, you can absolutely take 3 minutes to just sit down, close your laptop, and put your phone aside and breathe.
Yep.
So that will be my first one. No, so because breathing lets you to think a little bit more clearly, and at least it's going to make your nervous system to calm down a little
Yes.
bit, a notch. And so you can, because nobody wants to take decisions or be making important things with a very altered nervous system or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when people's nervous
Hmm.
systems are too chaotic,
Yeah, it's too
it doesn't
chaotic.
work.
It's worse. It's
Yep.
going to make things
Absolutely.
worse. So that
Yeah,
will
and
be
I
my first thing. And the second thing, really take time off. I mean, and time off,
mm,
I'm not saying like taking vacations for a month or something like that. Just program yourself for an afternoon. If you can, if you have the
mm,
privilege and you have the opportunity to just block 3 hours of your day in a week or something like that, to just take that for yourself.
yeah.
No, take those. One thing that, for example, I absolutely adore, and I adore my friends for that, is that I love, for example, for me, the best plan that you can have with me, it's to take me for a nice cup of coffee or a
Mm,
tea or something like that, and have the enough space to come and cry my eyes out with my problems, or
yeah.
laugh at them, or just be present and just be
Mm,
there.
yep.
No, and be with my friends, and my friends having given me the opportunity to be in a safe space where both we can talk about our own problems, about our own things. And I mean, for me, that's something that fortunately has been something that allows me to always keep keep me in my center. no, and
Mhm.
keep me grounded and calm. And obviously, if you have the opportunity and the privilege to pay for a psychologist or
Mhm.
having those kind of
Mhm.
sessions, and
Mhm.
you can have them, please have them. I mean,
Yep.
for me, has made in the moments that I have, because I'm not always without the time or without the money or something like that. No, you always like fluctuate through life, but in
Yeah.
the moments that life have has allowed me to have the opportunity to go with a psychologist or have that kind of sessions, for me has been life changing. For
Mm.
me, that have meant that for example, my work career spiked just
Mm.
because my mental state and my nervous system was in the right place, and I gave
Mhm.
myself that space to talk about my problems and talk about my trauma and talk about
Yeah.
all the things that I've been lived, because life, no,
Yeah.
life,
Yes.
no. So for for me those three things have been the ones who have really helped me to
Mm.
move my life forward in most of the sanity that I have.
I love that. Yeah, and for those of you listening, I want to encourage you because going back to breath, it seems
Mhm.
so basic, but breathing is free. There are amazing breathwork videos that you can actually get on and see. If you need a somatic session, you can hire me for that. I'm happy to do a trauma informed somatic session. It definitely includes breathwork. And I just think it's so simple, but people just don't do it. And I remember
Yeah.
my mom was having a string of issues going like in and out of the hospital and just surgeries and different stuff. And I remember just sitting with her and saying, "Hey, let's breathe together." And she remembered that, and it's been a little bit of a center that she can go back to once in a while. And I just think it's really beautiful because it's such a simple thing, but we forget. We so often forget just that deep breath and letting it go, like how good it feels. And it's so hard to it's hard not to it's hard to talk about it and not take a breath, because even as you were
Mhm.
saying it, I was like, ah, yes, yes, that nice deep breath just to empty out the lungs and get fresh air back in there feels so good. And then just the centeredness that can bring us back to. And I do believe in mindfulness practices. And you guys, there's so much that you also don't necessarily have to pay for in the world. If you're like, I don't
Mhm.
have the money, it's okay. You don't that's the some of the best things in life are free, and they are breath, they are a walking meditation, they're a sitting meditation, they're a screaming meditation if that's what you need. Just know that there are many different kinds of meditation. So take the one that works for you, that you need, that feels good and feels nourishing to your soul, because they will help you get grounded again. And as Estefania said, you only need them for a few minutes. You don't have to do these, you don't have to do a Joe Dispenza 5-day meditation. Like that's okay. If that's not for you, that's totally okay. But 5 minutes, we can all find 5 minutes. If we can find 5 minutes to go into a Starbucks and order our coffee and get it, I'm just saying, there's better things we can do with our day. So thank you, Estefania. Those were really good, and they are so available. They're so available for people to literally do right now.
Oh, yeah.
Last question for you is going to be around, what are some of the, like, if you had to think back to being a child and you think about a superpower that you had, meaning it's a superpower that you had as a kid that you didn't realize was a superpower until now that you're an adult, you can look back and go, oh my gosh, that was a superpower I didn't even know I had. Like, what would you say is that superpower for you?
Of not knowing nothing.
Not knowing anything. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss for
Ignorance
sure.
is bliss.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah, that's such an incredible superpower. I mean,
Yeah.
because you just live by your own terms in your own and
That's
your own
right.
time and your own toys, and
Sorry.
yeah, whatever. I mean, it can be your pet, it can be
Yes.
the park,
Totally.
it can be whatever, your siblings, you fight with your
Yeah.
siblings. and then you forgot that, and then you are getting for an ice cream. I don't know. Just the
Yes.
ignorance is bliss, and just the superpower to know to not
Yeah.
be that aware of your
Ah,
surroundings
ah, ah,
and just
ah.
live like
To live in your own world and not allow all the influences of all the noise of the rest of
yeah.
life get to you. Oh, amen. That's fantastic. I love it. So good. All right, everyone. That is our show today. Estefania, thank you so much for the laughs and for the great conversation. For those
Mm,
of you that did not catch our live show earlier, you can head over to BBTV. You can also catch it here on the as a repost in the YouTube channel, and get all the goods there. And with that, thank you for your likes, thank you for your follows, thank you for your shares. I appreciate all of you so much. And I wish you a super blessed November as we go and start wrapping up the end of 2024. All right, y'all, stay blessed.